Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday, the Hump Day edition of Winners and Whiners Radio. I am your host, Scott Steen, the lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com, joined as always by my partner. He is senior handicapper at Winners and Whiners. Please help me welcome Mr. Scott Reichel to the radio show. What's up, buddy?
Nothing much. You know, the longer I go through the playoffs, just watching how everything's going to unfold, the more difficult I remember it is to bet on the NBA.
Certainly is a challenge unto itself, isn't it? No Trae Young, no problem.
To make matters worse, I had a personal play on the team total under for the Hawks, which went down 2.5, went from 106.5 to 104. Game went under by like 20 points.
Yep.
Not for Atlanta, though.
No.
That's, I know Giannis, we're going to talk about what happened in that game and everything, but what are you doing, Budenholzer? Really? You get blown out when the other team's missing their best player?
Do you think that the upper management for the Atlanta Hawks have a little extra emphasis to beat Budenholzer?
I would say some of the players maybe.
Yeah.
If there were some players still around. Budenholzer hasn't only been there for a couple of years, so I'm trying to think of who was on that roster that's still there.
Yes, it is Collins, maybe?
Maybe, but the point is it's few and far between.
Well, I just meant the people that fired him, and they get to be take a little victory lap about how they were justified in getting rid of him.
Yeah, because they replaced him with Lloyd Pierce. That was
I was going to say they didn't exactly hit a home run in their next at bat.
There was a bridge guy in between that they don't talk about, but they ended up with a better coach.
The rebound coach. The rebound coach is never going to be any good. It's
correct, but the way that I'm looking at it is, do I think it really matters to the front office? No, I think I don't really think you need to add motivation to making it to your first NBA Finals appearance in I don't even know how many years for Atlanta. It's been a long time. So, no, I don't think that the opposing coach factors into motivating the players and motivating whatever into making it to a title. I think that you can make an argument maybe if they're petty like that, they might still care about what happened with Budenholzer. I think both sides moved on. It seemed pretty, I'd say, amicable on both sides. I don't remember any bad-mouthing or anything like that.
Okay.
You?
No, nothing really stands out, but you know, there's something going on there.
I just remember that he kept getting swept by LeBron in the playoffs, and then Atlanta said, we kind of just got to move on at this point. Isn't that kind of how that went down?
They were kind of the Minnesota Twins of the playoffs.
I was going to say that they were the Raptors before the Raptors, because the Raptors got owned by LeBron for a couple of years in a row, but it was Atlanta first.
True. Very true. So, Scott, let me ask you, when you get excited, do you put on when you go out, you think there's a possibility of something great happening to you? Do you put on a sports bra just in case?
No, I do not. Am I supposed to?
Do you know what I'm making reference to?
I'm not.
Forsberg scored a goal for Sweden. Ripped off his jersey. Brandy Chastain style black sports bra underneath.
You mean like a sports tank top?
Nope, I don't. I mean like a sports bra, like a man's ear.
The man's ear is the superior name, of course.
Not the bro.
Not the bro. I think the bro has a ring to it, but surprised that never actually caught on.
But yeah, there was a lot of surprises in soccer today, Scott. That was just one of them. I just wondered, because now I'm thinking about doing it.
Well, whether you're a fan or whether you are a player, everybody needs support.
Everybody needs support. Oh, very nice.
Thank you. Little double entendre right there.
We've got the slogan. Now we just need the product.
It's a work in progress.
Where is Jerry Stiller when you need him? Oh man, rest in peace. Buddy.
Rest in peace.
All right, sir. Well, let's get it rolling like we always do. We'll get the crying and the gnashing of teeth out of the way first. We're going to talk about the games that you thought they were going your way right up until the time they didn't. You thought you had a winner, but you didn't. You ended up having a meaningless piece of paper in your hand with some numbers written on it. And there was nothing you could do except maybe have a beer and call the cops. Pull over, sir. I see you're wearing a man's ear. That is not going to work out at all. So, Scott, let's get it started. Where are we going first here, buddy? How about
the game that you just mentioned?
Yeah, how about we'll start with that. The Ukraine-Sweden game, over 2.5 goals. Man, it's kind of hard to play overs in soccer, but this has been a good round to do it in, Scott. And this game looked good as well. 2 goals in the first 43 minutes. All we needed to add was one more decider in the second half of the game, plus a little bit of extra time there in the first half. Couldn't do it. And as we discovered yesterday, Scott, doesn't matter who wins. It's all about what the score is after 90 minutes. And this one, the score after 90 minutes was 1-1. Ukraine scored, of course, in the 121st minute. You couldn't care less. You were already too busy throwing things at the TV and tearing up your ticket. And if you had Ukraine-Sweden over 2.5, you got to sweat it for about an hour, and then you had a loser. Congratulations. It's time for you to call the cops.
And the second one, we're going to transition a little bit to the hardwood, but it is not the playoff game. We're going to be talking about the WNBA, and you had a matchup between the Liberty and the Dream. And if you had the Liberty plus 3.5, you probably felt like you were stealing, because this was an immediate rematch. These teams played over the weekend, and the Liberty won outright by 23 points. And now they were getting 3.5. Pretty interesting. But
easy money.
Easy money. Anyway, it looked like easy money. They were up by 4 points with 4 minutes to go.
Reasonable.
The problem is that the Liberty looked like Milwaukee's offense yesterday and didn't score again in the final 4 minutes.
What?
And they gave up an 8-0 run to close the game. They went from up 4 to down 4. And if you had the plus 3.5, you lost by a hook.
Oof, Todd. Not good. Not good at all. On the plus side, congratulations for saying the name Liberty and not saying Bibberty behind it.
I was actually thinking about doing it, but I decided not to.
I believe that's the first time you've been able to do it since college football season.
I enjoy it. I'm sorry. I think it should be the slogan. I roll with it.
Good enough. So, Scott, let's finish up in the majors. If you had the Nationals team total over 4.5, they've been crushing the ball, especially Kyle Schwarber.
Homered again yesterday.
Homered again. How many games in a row has that?
40. I don't know. I don't remember what he's had, but I want to say it's had like 17 in the last 16 games or something.
It's definitely teens in the teens, and I think he's missed one game. So they scored 4 runs in the first 2 innings. Looked like they were doing their thing. Out to a great start. 7 innings, Scott. All you need is one more run. You think they could do it?
No.
Wouldn't be on this segment if they could, Scott. They went scoreless for the last 7 innings. If you had the team total over 4.5 for the Washington Nationals, it was probably small consolation to you that they ended up winning the game 4-3. Couldn't care less because they didn't score enough runs. It was time for you to call the cops.
For the record, I said it was 17 home runs in 16 games. It's actually 16 home runs in 18 games.
Well, Scott, it's that kind of exaggeration and nonsense that is just not going to work out for you.
It's not going to work out, man. But either way, 16 home runs in 18 games, that's just crazy.
Pretty good. That's a pretty good stretch right there. That's a good 3-week stretch, no question about it.
Yep.
So the opposite of call the cops, these are the good news plays. These are the ones where you had a nice, easy winner where they scored 2 runs in the first 2 innings or 4 runs in the first 2 innings, and then they put up a bunch more runs the way they should do it. These are, Scott, the rocking chair wins.
So the first one, we'll be going to the playoff game between the Bucks and the Hawks, and you really had 2 choices for the rocking chair, either the Hawks plus the points or the under. We chose the Hawks plus the points. If you had the Hawks plus 9.5, it was really easy because they led by 13 at the half, led by 25 after the third quarter, and won outright by 22. So if you had the Hawks plus 9.5 or the money line, it was really just a sweet rocking chair for the first 24 minutes onward.
Man, that game really worked out exactly like we thought it was going to until they started playing it. We talked about if Trae Young was actually going to miss this game, it would go up to 9.5 or 10. It went to 9.5.
I thought he would play, but play poorly. So
right. You and I were both leaning towards him getting it out and making an effort.
In basically a must-win game, I was really surprised he wasn't playing.
Apparently, it was worse than they let on or that we knew.
Well, I expected it to be bad. That part didn't surprise me. I just thought that as the leader of the team, that he would have too much pride, so to speak, that he would have a Phillip Rivers torn ACL performance where you give him props, but he plays terribly, and you realize, maybe he shouldn't have played based on how he was going to play.
I'm going to make sure that everyone knows that is your opinion only. I hold a different opinion. I think that he wanted to be out there as much as possible. he was absolutely physically unable to do it.
Oh no, of course he wanted to be out there.
I'm not questioning his heart. I'm not questioning
I'm not either.
Leadership.
I was just saying that I figured that the medical staff would tell him you shouldn't play, and Trey was just going to be like, listen, no matter what, I'm going to be there. So I figure, I'm not criticizing his heart or anything. I think he clearly couldn't play. It was just a matter of, I thought that he would maybe give a Willis Reed, play a couple minutes, and then try to give it a go. And once he realized it wasn't going to work out, then he would take himself out. But I didn't expect him to have much of an impact in this game regardless.
Darrelle Revis couldn't have backpedaled any better, Scott.
Well, I wasn't backpedaling.
You were absolutely backpedaling.
You can check the tape. I didn't say that I was questioning his heart. I just really thought that in a must-win game, he was going to suit up.
Right. So you can't say I'm not questioning his heart and then question his heart in the next sentence. I'm not questioning his heart. I'm saying that the injury was bad, and I thought that he would have played maybe for a little while, but I guess the medical staff convinced him otherwise. I think we may be stuck in a loop here, Scott. Let's move on, shall we? How about an easy rocking chair?
You're trying to put words in my mouth. I didn't question his heart.
You keep denying it, and then the next sentence you say it again. We're stuck in a loop.
I'm just saying, man, I wasn't questioning his heart. I just think that eventually the brain overrided the heart.
Okay. All right, good enough. Hey, your Yankees played today, Scott.
They played pretty well.
They did. They played the Angels. You had the over 9.5 in that game. You didn't have to watch much of it because they put up 13 runs in the first 4 innings. What kind of a pitcher's duel was that, Scott? Who went for the Yankees today? Who went?
Taillon.
Oh, that's right. Taillon and who was it?
I'm trying to even remember. He wasn't in that long, so I'm trying to remember who it was.
Not going to be here long.
I think that was it.
No, very good. So yeah, if you had the Yankees over 9.5. Yeah, you're in good shape. 13 first 4 innings. Take a nap. Go watch some basketball.
Or watch any other sport that was on, because the basketball game wasn't too good. But looking at the other rocking chair, kind of a similar story with the Red Sox and the Royals. If you had the over 10.5, 4 of the first 6 innings had multiple runs.
That'll get you there.
You had 11 runs by the end of the 5th inning, and the game ended at trying to remember what the exact score was, 7-6. So if you had the over 10.5, it was really easy. Pretty sure it was an 11 at some spots. It didn't even matter. Plus, by the way, the pitcher for the Angels was Heaney.
Oh, that's right, Andrew Heaney.
Yeah.
Shocker.
3 innings, 7 runs.
We talked about that yesterday. We just didn't believe in Taillon enough.
Well, Taillon didn't. He got the win, 5 1/3, 5 runs.
Shutting him down.
He did his job, I guess, question mark.
Well, Scott, kind of bad news from the Wimbledon stage today. Serena Williams looked like a day for hyperextending knees. She kind of stretched out the knee, slid on the grass, and had to retire from her singles match. Scott, she's just lacking heart that she didn't get back out there.
No, because I watched it. She completely crumbled because her leg fell apart.
It's not enough heart, buddy.
You can go back to the Trae Young point. I'm just saying that she was crying before she withdrew. You can tell that she wanted to gut it out. She just couldn't do it. And I don't know how serious the injury is. I also couldn't really tell what the injury was. It was clearly a leg injury, but it's one of these rare situations where, not really that rare in Wimbledon, but there was a little bit of slipping.
Yeah.
Where somebody ended up losing their actual traction. And when you see the leg buckle, I never really know which body part's the main culprit for the injury, because it looked like it was a knee. She also didn't land properly, so I thought it might have been a foot. It could have been anything. And then she tried to play on a couple more points. She was crying, and then the opponent hit a shot down the line. She tried to turn forward, and she just face planted into the grass. She couldn't move. So no, I know that you're just teasing me a little bit, but I watched it, and it was not exactly a pretty sight. I found it extremely interesting how that was on the main court that they play. The match prior to the Serena Williams match was the Federer-Mannarino match, and they were tied 2 sets apiece. And the first point of the 5th set, Mannarino slipped on the grass, and he completely destroyed his knee. So the same court had 2 serious injuries, most likely to the knee. I do wonder maybe about Wimbledon being a little bit more precautious moving forward, because the same court has 2 continuous knee injuries just back to back.
What do you do?
At some point, you might have to just trust the player's judgment if they say it's too slick, I can't play on this. Like, I don't really know, because I know, of course, it is in the UK, and not trying to sound like too stereotypical, but it rains a lot over there, as I've read. So it's going to be on grass. You try to play through it, but the first 2 days of Wimbledon have had rain, and a pretty substantial amount. It definitely contributed to the court being slick. And I do question if that'll maybe cause the actual administrators of the tournament to maybe play a little bit safer in the future, because they don't want a lot of other players to suffer serious injuries. What do you think?
Hang on. I'm hearing no. No, it will not. It will not affect them at all.
I don't think it will, but you can understand the point I'm trying to make. It's weird that
I don't know what the answer is, though. I mean, I guess you just delay it till it gets drier.
I got no idea. Take some towels and start trying to rub down the. I don't know what you're supposed to do, but the same court had 2 serious knee injuries in back-to-back matches. That's a bad look. I
know it really is, and this is. But how many years have they played at Wimbledon? 108.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean it's wet grass, man. I just don't know what you're going to do if you've ever cut your grass. You've ever been out running around in wet grass? It happens, man. And I don't know. It was just a weird coincidence. I don't know if that. I mean, certainly that has to be one of the courts that's in better shape than the rest of them, right? Because I mean,
unless the idea is maybe you leave the roof down the entire time to prevent some excess rain from getting in. I have no idea.
I don't either. So let's talk about Serena a little bit. Like I said, it was a very heartbreaking situation. All jokes aside, one of the best ever to lace him up. She's 39. Scott hasn't won a Grand Slam since 2017. Is she done?
I didn't think she was going to win another one before this tournament, because It's been a long time, as you said. The issue isn't just the injury itself and the age. I got to assume some of it's motivation. Now, you can say she's 1 away from the all-time record, and maybe that would motivate her. But at some point, she has a family now.
Sure.
It's going to take I would say that based on the injury and what it looked like to me, a decent rehab. She might miss the U.S. Open, or I think that is a good chance she's going to do that.
Right.
And the point is,
of course, that's the last major of the year.
Correct. So the question is, do you really expect her to be either 39 or 40 at that point? I don't know what her birthday is, but the point is, do I expect her to want to go through maybe several months of serious rehab to be at best a top 10 player again, maybe fringe top 10?
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
There's a lot of effort in it. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
You're going to have to rehab it anyway. If it's something you're going to need knee surgery, doesn't matter whether you're a tennis pro or whether you sit behind a desk.
Correct. I'm just saying there's a difference between regular person rehab and elite athlete rehab.
Well, yeah. I mean, then once you get to a point where most people go, okay, well, that's pretty well fixed. It's like, okay, now we're going to start working out.
Now you have to run and stop for 7 miles in every match you play. I don't know if she's ever going to play again. I got to assume she will at some point.
She's so muscular, Scott. She's so thick and muscular that the joints have to be taking a lot of pressure, because she just puts just so much torque on all of her shots.
It's also the wear and tear. She's been playing since she was a teenager.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
We've a lot of years on there.
So your prediction is, will she be back in 2022 to play any majors?
Yes. I think she will probably – then again, I don't know how serious the knee injury is, so I don't know if she's going to need surgery or whatever, but I think she'll be back for at least Wimbledon next year.
Okay.
Because Wimbledon's apparently her favorite major, or the U.S. Open. I don't know about the earlier part of the year. I don't see her playing in 110-degree heat with a bad knee in the Australian Open. I just don't see that happening.
You don't think she does a final victory tour, a final tour?
No. At the end of the day, I just think she might do a couple more majors. This is a worst-case scenario. I think she'll do a couple more. her favorites. She'll play the U.S. Open because the home crowd will be rooting for her and all that stuff. And then she might just go off into the sunset.
Okay.
She's not going to win another major, though. I think you'd agree with me on that.
The deck definitely looks stacked against her. But I've counted her out before. And
it was stacked against her beforehand. I mean, she hadn't won since 2017.
That's the thing. And, her game was so much better than anyone else's that
people have caught up.
She gets a little bit of leeway. I don't know that they have. Or she's gone backwards.
I think that the other people have caught up because players like Osaka didn't exactly exist to rival her within the last decade.
No, that's true. So, just as a sidelight, Scott, who do you like on the women's draw? With Osaka gone, with Williams gone, who do you like?
Well, Barty's the safe choice because Barty has won it before, number one in the field. I'd probably go Barty. She ended up winning today in 3 sets, I believe. She beat Suarez Navarro. But I'd go Barty. It's mostly just chalk, but you're looking at a couple of decent favorites, or I'd say women who had a decent shot to win it, with Serena, with Osaka, and with Halep, and they're all not on the field, or at least not anymore. So you can make a case for maybe a long shot or two because it is women's tennis, so you do see a decent amount of long shots actually win. I'm going to go with Barty on that.
Okay. So, speaking of knee injuries, like we talked up at the top of the show, it was a bad night for knee injuries, or a bad day, however you want to look at it. Of course, it was late afternoon in London when she did that. But anyway, Giannis hurt his knee last night, and that doesn't look great. They're calling it a hyperextension, so that's about the best news they could get, right?
I suppose so. It's better than massive amounts of rehab for about a year.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing torn, no surgery, that kind of thing. So
a hyperextended knee still probably means he might be out for a couple of weeks. So I don't expect him to play anytime soon, or if he does, very limited minutes.
I would expect him to be back for the finals, but probably miss the conference finals.
That's what I'm looking at. I don't see him coming back within the next week. At least with that. That looked really bad.
Didn't look good at all. So here's my question. There's been a ton of injuries in the postseason. I mean,
even before the postseason, just throughout the entire year.
Well, right. But I'm talking about just things that have kind of manifested here in the postseason, because, you can make an argument that you've pretty much got the best teams available left, right? You don't have the Nets, but other than that, you got the Bucks. Lakers were finished, what, 8th, 9th, 7th? Yeah, that's right.
They were out there. I mean, they were a lot of people's betting favorites going in.
Well, sure. I know you liked them as well. But who could predict that they'd play 12 games together? They were 9-3 or 10-2. They're off to a great start, and then everything fell apart. So you've had injuries to Kawhi, Giannis, Trae Young, Anthony Davis, Harden, Irving, Murray, Brown.
You'd even throw in Mitchell in there if you want to.
I was going to say Donovan Mitchell as well. So is there any sort of a taint or a tinge on whoever the eventual winner is? Is there? I mean, I know they're not going to do it, but should there be an asterisk by this season because they didn't really necessarily beat everybody at their best all the time, or is that the new NBA? Is that just what we're going to have to deal with?
I don't believe in asterisks. I think at the end of the day, if you win the title, you win the title. And when people are going to look at the history, people are going to make an argument that there should have been an asterisk by the Lakers title last year because it was in a bubble.
Right.
Didn't mean anything. Are you sure about that? Because there was a banner and a trophy.
Right.
As far as I know, it's going to be a banner and a trophy if you win, no matter what the circumstances are.
Everybody's going to get they're going to get rings. Yep.
Yeah, of course, you're going to have a ring ceremony now. They're not going to give you fake rings because you want a ring with an asterisk on it. But the way that I'm looking at it is that it's definitely an extreme situation when it comes to the amount of injuries we've had this year. There have been teams that have won titles because of injuries before. And the Warriors won against the Cavaliers, where you had Kevin Love and Kyrie who both got injured, and they both didn't play. The Raptors won a title when Klay Thompson tore his ACL in the final game and Kevin Durant got injured. Was there an asterisk there? No. Injuries are a part of the game. It's not a fun part. It's a part that everyone tries to avoid, but you can't. It's a sport, and people get injured. Now, people can make an argument saying that the best team is not going to win, and that's a problem to some people. I don't really care. The best team does not always win. So do I think there should be an asterisk next to it? No. Whoever's the last team standing is the champion. So that's how I look at it. You?
Yeah, I'm the same way. You play the games that are in front of you. That's all you can do. You don't apologize to anybody for winning at basketball.
Like, I'm supposed to take away from the Suns, hypothetically, winning a title because it's their fault that Kawhi got injured and Giannis got injured? What do they have to do with anything?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And AD getting injured. Like, just because they might have benefited from other star players getting injured doesn't mean that you can discredit all they've done all season long just because a couple of things seem to bounce a certain way in their direction.
They were the second best team in the West for the entire season.
Yeah.
So they're not exactly sneaking up on anybody. And Atlanta was a really good team once they hired Nate McMillan. So,
I think it's a very lazy take. I think it's a way of taking months of hard work and throwing it out the window.
Yeah, I agree. And I know when you cash those championship tickets that you have on the Bucks or the Hawks or the Suns or whatever you happen to have them on, still going to cash. They're still going to pay you.
Sports books just say, you know what? Kawhi got injured, so we can't pay you out on this. It's not right. There's an asterisk next to your bet.
It does sound like something they would like to do, but I don't believe they can do that.
I look at it as a black and white situation. If you win the title, you're the champion. I'm not going to go into all the gray area that doesn't really exist.
Okay. Well, basketball Twitter will blow up about it, so.
I'm sure. But if you notice, the only people that'll blow up are fan bases whose team did not win the title this season. I don't think Suns fans are going to be claiming that it's an invalid ring if they win the title.
Let's hear from a Rocket fan, 984. What does he have? What's his take on this?
His take would be, I don't really care because we got the number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah, there you go. So, Scott, a trophy that we talked about throughout the season, various odds, and there was kind of some switches, and at one point, I thought Grubauer was a good play here.
Well, COVID got in your way. You had a decent shot there.
Yep. But they gave away. They awarded the Vesna Trophy, was the trophy for the best goaltender in the NHL. And what I would consider a surprise, Scott, can we go with that?
It was an upset. And if you want to go about the actual odds, the person who won the award was plus money, what I saw earlier this week before it was announced.
Yep, Fleury from Vegas Golden Knights won the award. Vasilevsky, I assume, was second. I did not see the final.
Yes, he was second.
By the final vote total. So the question is, first of all, did they award it to the right person based on regular season play?
Personally, I think it was a very tough call. Okay. If you want to go with goals against average and remembering it's a regular season award, Fleury had the better goals against average by over 0.2. So he was clearly the better goals against average goalie. Okay. He had a higher save percentage, but the 1 point he can make for Vasilevsky was A, he ended up playing in 6 more games, and B, he had 5 more wins. So do you value the record or do you value the actual goals against average and everything like that? I would have given it to Vasilevsky.
Okay.
I just thought he was the better goalie. If you want to go by stats, you can make an argument for Fleury. It has nothing to do with the postseason struggles, which we'll get into in a minute.
Right.
But let's just say Fleury's very thankful it's only a regular season award.
Yeah, because he
got benched.
He was stink on ice, in no pun intended, in the playoffs.
Season was on the line, and they chose the other goalie.
Yeah. That's, you can argue about whether that was the right call or not, but Fleury certainly wasn't getting it done.
I thought Lehner played well in the series. I'm not going to blame him for the reason why Vegas lost, but the point is, one goalie's in the cup, the other goalie got benched. So even though it's a regular season award, you kind of feel a little bit dirty about it because you feel like the best goalie didn't win the award for best goalie.
You're thinking an asterisk, maybe?
I think that a lot of people would consider doing that because they think that Fleury didn't deserve the award. But once again, it's regular season stuff, but I think it made sense Vasilevsky was favored. I would have voted for him.
You think it tempers some of the disappointment that Tampa Bay fans feel by the fact that they're 3 games away from their second straight title?
I actually think it's a good thing. I think Vasilevsky's focused on another trophy. But I think that if you actually want to go for a prop, I don't know if it matters for motivation. Vasilevsky's shutout game 2? I think he might be a little bit motivated for that. You don't think?
Think he might be a little frosty?
What do you think? I think he might be.
I think it's possible. I think
he was the defending champion for both the Stanley Cup and the Vesna. And now they want to say that the guy who got eliminated is the better goalie? I don't know. There might be a little bit of a chip on his shoulder there for game 2.
I'm going to go out on a limb and make a crazy bet, Scott, and say that Vasilevsky doesn't get pulled from the game tomorrow or today.
I think that's definitely not a hot take, but I do think if you want to talk about shutout odds, Vasilevsky should have a shutout, I believe, is around 9-1, maybe a little bit lower, but I think he is the best goalie in all of hockey, and he only gave up 1 goal in game 1. We saw Tampa dominated that game. Now, we didn't officially start breaking down game 2, which we'll probably do in a little bit, but you want to talk about potential motivation or maybe how you can bet on how the Vesna, the impacts the Vesna race actually had? You can really you can make an argument that if you want to go for a shutout, you might find a good price.
Where do you find a 9-1?
I'm trying to see if it's actually up right now. I know usually it's at around like 9-1, but I actually don't think that FanDuel has it up yet.
So, Scott, the Canadiens have played 18 postseason games. Do you know how many times they've been shut out?
I'm assuming 0.
One time.
Okay.
One time.
Was that Toronto series?
It was. It was when they went down. When they went down 3-1.
Once again, I'm just talking about a betting angle from the Vesna Trophy perspective. If you think there's a chance he might have a little bit of extra fire,
don't hate it.
Maybe you can put a little sprinkle there.
Yeah, I don't hate that at 9-1. That's playable because, like I said, he just gave up 1 in the last game. So
9 might be a little bit high because the elite goalies they tend to give a little bit lower. I'd say minimum 650.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were reading 9.
No, I know it's usually 9 or so, but I thought the lines would be up by now for FanDuel. I guess they couldn't put it up because they haven't officially announced who the goalies are going to be. Even though it's obvious who it's going to be, but barring some weird circumstances.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's it should be a fun game. We'll talk about it here in just a second, but I do want to remind everybody that you are listening to Winners and Whiners Radio. Give us an hour. We'll give you the winners. And of course, we'll talk about winnersandwhiners.com. That is our sponsor for the entire show, and they are the #1 site in the world for predictive sports analysis. Make sure you stop by and check out the latest information on weather, injuries, line movements, anything else that might factor into your final decision. It is always available. We talk about every single game, every single day at winnersandwhiners.com, always there. And the best part is it is always free. So make sure you check out winnersandwhiners.com. All right, Scott. Well, we talked about it a little bit, whether Fleury or whether Vasilevsky is going to have a little extra oomph on his side. It remains to be seen, but they do square off against the Lightning again in this one. As a surprising development for absolutely nobody, Scott, Tampa Bay, once again, big favorite, -200, 210, somewhere in that neck of the woods. 5 is your total. You know, every time we've counted those Canadiens out, the plucky Northlanders have come back and been able to take care of business. Does that happen again tonight? Do they steal one down there in Tampa Bay?
Personally, no. I think Tampa's going to win, but I like the under. You can find it at about 5. I know FanDuel has a juiced 5.5, like -170, which is not very appealing. But at 5, game 1 went over because of 3 goals in the third period, but that was definitely trending under throughout most of the game. I think Vasilevsky's going to play well. I've stated that. I think 5's too high. You?
I do. I think this, again, should be a defensive struggle. It's all about whether we're going to see, the goals there at the end when, like, Tampa Bay put up 3 last time in the third period, and that pretty much toasted our peanuts right there, Scott. So
the thing is that if you're expecting there to be goals, how many do you think Montreal's actually going to score? Because game 1, they didn't really have many great chances in that game.
No.
Tampa Bay kind of put on a clinic.
Yeah, they did. They did. Now, whether they'll be able to make adjustments or not remains to be seen. I hate to lay that kind of wood, but
so do I. But Tampa's given up 1 goal in the last 2 games combined.
Yeah, they played. I think you could make the argument they played a more difficult series against the Islanders.
The way that I'm looking at it is that Game 7 by Tampa was one of the most complete defensive performances I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
That was a thorough beatdown, just defensively. The Islanders did nothing for the entire game.
Oh, and it gives them the confidence.
Yep.
To go out there and do it again. So we'll see what happens. I'm with you. I'd love to fade one of those positions, but I can't do it.
I was making an argument Montreal might have had a shot in the series because Kucherov, I was concerned about the injury. He was barely going to play in Game 7. I was wondering that. Oh, yeah, he's just going to score 2 goals in Game 1. I think he's fine.
It's hard, Scott.
These hockey players are a different breed, man. I'll tell you that much. They're a different breed.
They really are. I'll say that for sure. Absolutely correct. So we'll see what happens there. You and I are both on the Lightning and the under in this one.
I like the under more, but yes.
I like the Lightning to win. I like the under more than I like laying 200.
Yep, I agree.
All right, Scott. So yesterday was Bucks Hawks. Today must be Clippers Suns. Clippers were able to get it done to hold on and close it to 3-2. Now Scott, they go back to their home court there at the Staples Center. They give it a shot, try to even up the series at 3 apiece. They head back to the Valley of the Sun. This game opened up as the Suns as a 1-point favorite, and that's pretty much where it stands. You're starting to see a little bit of Clipper money coming in. You'll see it at a half. You want to go to William Hill or Bet Online. It's actually pick 'em. And the total, Scott, opened up 214.5. It's ticked up a little bit to 215. So, first of all, let's talk about the side in this one. Clippers, Suns. Clippers jumped up and punched them in the mouth in Game 5. Do they do it again in this one, or are the Suns going to figure it out?
I can't figure out the Clippers. First of all, I'm just going to go on record. This team has confused me throughout the entire playoffs. But I think the wrong team's favored. Phoenix is laying 1. I do see a couple of pick'ems starting to show up. The Clippers, without Zubac, looked phenomenal. And they went small. They were able to switch everything. And Phoenix's offense has not been good for the last couple of games in this series. I'm the wrong team's favorite. I think the Clippers are going to win the game. I told you before we went on air, earlier this afternoon, I did make a play on the Clippers to win the series at plus 410, which I think is a little bit too much meat on the bone to pass up on. I think these teams are very close. And if you do think that even though the Clippers did lose the last home game, that home court advantage matters, it means you're expecting a Game 7, and you can hedge accordingly. But I do think the Clippers are going to win this game. I think they're the better – I think that they are the more – I'm trying to think of the right way to describe this – versatile team. I think they could throw out a bunch of different looks all the time to keep the opponents off guard. I don't think the Suns have that luxury. I don't know that they're a one-trick pony, but I do think the Clippers have a lot of different lines they can roll out if something's not working. They have backup plans, and I don't think the Suns have a backup plan for anything. Do you?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look that way, because if they did, I think they would have made the adjustment by now, because the Clippers have absolutely shut off the outside scoring of the Suns after Game 1. And you can say what you want about Ty Lue, but the adjustments that he's made to get his guards out on the perimeter and chase and harass the shooters, they haven't done anything in the they've shot. I want to say I had the notes. I want to say they've shot about 28% from downtown.
It's definitely below 30 or like 30 and change. It's not pretty.
No, it's not at all. And that's 28%. They're 29 of 100 out of 104 in the last 4 games from downtown. So they've averaged 95.5 points.
Do you think the Suns should be favored? Because I don't.
No, I was surprised when I saw that line. When I saw that line open up as the Suns as a favorite. They're just not.
I think the series is going 7.
I think if it goes back to Phoenix, maybe the Suns should be favored by a point or so. But I think at home, I think the Clippers have the momentum. And the Suns, again, they haven't solved the Clippers defense. They haven't figured out another alternative. You know, they thought they were just going to feed the ball to Ayton, but that didn't work out, because you find out when you harass people on the perimeter, cut off the passing lanes, they just can't feed the ball to their big man inside. So consequently, Ayton was out there in the last game. Basically had nothing to do. He was minus 22 when he was on the court. It was the worst mark of anybody out there, because you're basically playing 5-on-4 at that time because, Ayton's not coming out on the perimeter to knock down any shooters. So, yeah, I don't know what the answer for the Suns is going to be in this game.
I think that's the problem that I have, is the fact that I look at Phoenix, and this team offensively has had no answers for the Clippers defense. Even in games they've won. Since game one, it has not been pretty for Phoenix. Right. Meanwhile, has Phoenix really had any answers to the Clippers small ball lineup? Because I haven't seen it yet.
That's what I'm saying.
The Clippers took a while to roll it out because it took Zubac getting injured. But the Clippers, when they go small, look like a completely different team. And they just overwhelmed Phoenix for the entire game.
Yeah. Yeah, they absolutely did. Phoenix had – it was just they rode the struggle bus that whole game.
They went down like 20-5 in the first quarter. Like, it was not pretty. But I'm going with the Clippers. I think they'll get it done.
Hit them in the mouth right there. I would agree. As far as the total goes, you got a thought on that?
I understand the over money. I'd go Phoenix team total under.
Okay. All right. That's solid. What about the game tonight, Scott? Or the game last night, rather, with the Hawks and the Bucks? Going back to Milwaukee for Game 5, you and I agree Giannis is almost certainly going to miss that game.
I am curious if Trey's going to play. I'm assuming yes, but I don't know.
We assumed yes yesterday too. So
correct.
It will be interesting to see.
Then again, Atlanta did win, which was unexpected, so that might have completely shifted their entire planning.
Scott, and they won by a lot. We talked about it in the rocking chair segment.
They buried them.
Yeah, you can't. They were up 12 at halftime.
I think it was Milwaukee scored 38 points in the first half.
Yeah, they were dreadful with Giannis.
Yeah.
So I know you want to blame this loss on the fact that Giannis went out, but the fact remains
they're getting killed before that.
They were getting killed before that, and after that they just got uber killed.
I don't know if Milwaukee's done if Giannis doesn't come back in the series, but do I think Budenholzer's going to come up with a great game plan to help his supporting cast look better than they actually are? No.
Absolutely. What? No?
No. I think McMillan did. I was impressed with Atlanta's game plan. They did a great job sharing the basketball. Lou Williams was great. And I don't trust Middleton. I know that he was great in the game prior. Were you shocked that he fell back down to earth dramatically in this game? Absolutely not.
I was hoping we'd have a series price on that one, but we don't.
What, were you surprised Middleton struggled today after having a career game? No.
No, you know that
he's a streaky player. It's what he is. You know that. And his playoff numbers historically are not great.
Man, you got to give me a chance to answer.
I'm just saying. I'm because you can go get it either way, but it's not pretty.
No. So here's the thing: can they beat him without Giannis?
I do not think they can.
No?
You?
No Giannis, no Trae Young, who wins?
Do you trust Middleton as the number one option on a team?
For at least one of those games, yes.
Okay, because they need to win 2 of those games.
I understand. That's where the problem lies. So it's whether you can get that extra game out of him. Because, yes, I think he's going to be good for one game. I
think if Drew Holiday was playing well, they would survive. But Holiday, after game 1, or game 2, I don't remember which game. I think it was game 1, he had 30 and 10.
Okay, so let's do this. All right? Trae Young comes back. Giannis does not come back. Who wins the series?
Atlanta in 6.
Giannis and Trae Young come back. Who wins the series?
I think Atlanta still wins. I don't think Giannis can move.
Okay. All right.
He was injured before the knee injury. Didn't he have a foot injury for the last couple of games?
Yep. He'd been nursing a foot injury as well. Absolutely.
So that's not a good look.
Okay. So neither one of them come back for the rest of the series. Who wins?
I'll go Atlanta in 7.
Okay. All right. There you go.
So in other words, I've completely pivoted to taking Atlanta in this series.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
I like my Atlanta ticket that I have a lot better than I liked it yesterday before the game started. I'll tell you that much. I thought I was dead in the water. I predicted without Trae Young that Atlanta would not be within single digits for the rest of the series. That did not age well.
All I know is that Atlanta's proven time and time again that this team is really good at handling adversity.
Yep.
And Milwaukee did that against the Nets. Was it them? Was it Kyrie and Harden, having injury issues? You can argue there's a couple of points. But the point I'm trying to say, they have not had to play without Giannis for a while. that's going to be a problem, in my opinion.
Do you think this Atlanta team is just too young and inexperienced to realize that they should be feeling more pressure than they are?
No, I actually think it might just have to do with Trae Young. I think Trae Young has a certain confidence about him, even though he didn't play. I just think he's really good at dapping up his guys. I think he's very good at trying to keep his guys engaged. I think that
I'm sorry, he's good at what? Doing what to his guys?
Dapping up his guys.
Dapping up his guys?
Yeah.
What the hell
like
is
pumping them up and keeping them like focused and positive.
Where does that word come from?
I know it's just a slang word that I use.
Never heard of that. Is it just you that uses it?
No, it's a popular term.
It is?
Yeah.
Well, how popular?
Not from your era, but from mine.
My era. Okay. Well,
it's from post-shot clock era.
Back in my era, our players had heart.
Yeah, back in your player, they weren't allowed to dunk. But the way that I'm looking at it is
peach baskets when I was a young.
McMillan is very, very good.
Yes.
Getting a lot out of players who maybe are a little bit limited. And I think Budenholzer's the opposite, where he has a lot of talent, and it seems like he's underachieving with the large amount of talent that he has. Do you agree with that or no?
I do. Well, I mean, if anybody out there has listened to our show for any length of time, I don't think the fact that we're roasting Budenholzer is
it's not a surprise.
It's not a surprise. So no. All right. Well, it'll be curious to see what happens. Like I said, I've got a Hawks ticket at plus 375. So I felt pretty stupid when it was plus 1,400 or something yesterday. And now
I got the Clippers at 410. I think they were 15-1 like a day and a half ago.
That's a solid play too. Well, they were down 3-1, so that makes sense. All right, sir. Well, there you go. We'll see what happens with the basketball game. Indeed. Scott, we're doing great. We're doing great work here, buddy. We have like almost 10 minutes. We have about 9 minutes to go.
Do you know why we're doing really well on the show?
Talk baseball. Because there's only one hockey game and one basketball game?
No, it's because we got a lot of heart.
Winners and Whiners Radio, the show with more heart than any other show on the air. Right there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect tagline.
Perfect tagline, Scott. So can we talk about the Colorado Rockies a little bit?
Then we kind of have to. I kind of want to talk about the Pirates first, because how do you get one hit through 9 innings at Coors Field?
No hit through 8, my friend.
There was no hits through 8.
Herman Marquez, right?
Marquez had a bit of a Maddox going on. He went into the 9th inning with like 80 pitches.
Solid. That's solid. So Colorado, they are Jekyll and Hyde, Scott.
Home and road.
They are monsters at home, and they are absolutely pitiful on the road.
They're 6-31 on the road, I believe.
That's not good.
It's better than Arizona. I think. I don't even know anymore, to be honest. You lose 24 straight road games, and suddenly you got a little bit of a race there for who's the more anemic team on the road.
Yeah, and they're both, of course, in the same division, so that makes good times when they head to San Diego, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. So,
yep,
it's not hard to be the two best teams in baseball when you play home games against the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. So, so tonight, John Gray goes, Scott, against Chad Koo. Or excuse me,
an afternoon game.
As an afternoon game. That game's going to be over by the time this airs in most of our markets. Never mind. So we tell them who should be winning that game as they're listening to our show, Scott?
I can't go against the Rockies at home.
Can't do it. Give me John Gray over the dreadful Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yep, I agree.
I'm with you there. What else you see that you like? You know, Max Fried going against the Mets.
You know how much I love Peterson.
I know you're.
I don't really have any thoughts on that matchup at all, because the Braves are favored by a lot. I can understand it. Would I lay that with the Braves? Absolutely not, because the Braves have been underachieving all season long. Mets, whether or not you like the offense, and you really shouldn't like the offense, they're still in first place. So they're the most, I'd say, consistent team in the NL East with a question mark, which is one of the, I guess, most backhanded compliments I could have possibly given, because no team's consistent in that division besides the Mets.
Right.
Consistently decent, which is good enough. You want to lay 150 with the Braves? Because I don't.
No, I want to go the other way. I want to take the Mets. Peterson's been really good his last 3 starts.
He's been good. I'm just not a big fan of him, but he has been better lately.
He speaks highly of you. That's weird.
I don't think he knows I exist, which is even worse.
You don't think he's a big fan of the show?
I don't think he's a listener.
We're going to find out because we're going to talk trash on him. We'll see how he pitches tomorrow.
You're going to pitch well, so he might pitch terribly. I don't even know.
Yeah, I like the Mets area. Peterson's given up just two earned in his last 16 2/3 innings. That's pretty good. And meanwhile, Max Fried, Scott, I would not call him completely all the way back. What do you think?
Max Fried, more like Max Fried. Am I right, people?
You do that? Did you do that joke every time?
I think I have to, right? Only when we talk poorly about him. Well, it really works too well.
Like last time he went 7, gave up 2 hits, 1 earned, so we didn't say anything then.
I said Kyle Freeland is a great name because he gives up a lot of free land to base runners, and he's been great ever since.
Did you say that?
I did, and then I think he's had 2 fantastic starts ever since. So some people listen to the show and some people don't.
Big fan of the show, obviously.
Yep.
Oh yeah, will you take a spin with me here, Scott, at plus 140 on the Mets?
Yeah, I'm not touching the Braves minus 150.
Okay, all right.
But looking at everything else, we can talk about the other New York team with the Yankees laying about minus 125. You have German against Ohtani. Ohtani homered again yesterday because it's another day of the week, so of course he's going to hit a home run. Total's about 9.5. What do you think? I like the Yankees in the spot, but that's just because the team's been hitting better. Had double-digit runs yesterday. I can't get past the Angels' bullpen. It is so bad. And Ohtani's been pitching well this season, but his record is not great because the Angels find really impressive ways to just sabotage his starts. I think the Yankees will win the game. You?
I do not. I'm not a fan. I like Ohtani. I think he's been pitching extremely well. These teams are, very, very close together. Angels score more runs. New York pitches better, but I think they have a big advantage as far as starting pitching goes. So,
I think German struggled lately. I don't think he's that bad, but it's mostly just looking at the Angels in recent form, and I'm just not impressed. Ohtani's by himself out there.
You think he's struggled as much at pitching as you have struggled to pronounce his name?
Who? German or Ohtani?
German.
I say German.
German.
Agree to disagree.
What does it matter? You can disagree.
Tomato.
The sky is blue. We can agree to disagree. Well, we can, but no.
I've always pronounced it German, so that's how I always do it. But I see your point.
But he's a player on your team. You've heard him say his name 1,000 times.
I always hear them say German.
No, you do not.
I'm pretty sure I hear Michael Kay say German, like all the time.
Domingo No. Sorry. All right. Fine. All right. So we'll agree to disagree on that game.
I'll agree to disagree. I'll tell you what. I'll look at the pronunciation or I'll listen to it during the game tomorrow or during the game on Wednesday.
Herman. So any thoughts on the Kansas City game between Mike Minor and Perez?
You mean Perez? Yeah, I like the over. You're looking at the way the series has gone. There's been no pitching at all.
None.
Boston is really good at hitting. Kansas City surprisingly has been decent over the last couple of games. They've had waves where they're good and waves where they're awful.
Yep.
I like the over. It's a high total, but I don't think either of us really like any of these pitchers. And the bullpens aren't good. I'll take the over. What'd they have again? 11 runs in the first 5 innings yesterday?
We don't like either one of these pitchers, but at least the bullpens suck. Mike Minor was pretty good up until his last time out, and he was no bueno at all. Scott, let me tell you, you got any interest in taking a little spin on Willie Peralta against Cal Quantrill?
Well, if I was going to ever take Peralta at any point, Quantrill might be the pitcher you'd want to be against besides maybe a couple of guys in our wall of shame who we've mentioned in the past. But
right,
as a whole, I think there's some value on it because Detroit's actually played pretty well lately.
Yeah, they've knocked the Royals out of second to the last place. The Royals are in last place.
Yeah, so it's a matter of looking at Detroit in recent form. It's not even about the pitching matchup. I just think Detroit's been playing well, at least well enough to not be plus 160 something. I'll take Detroit.
Against Cal Quantrill, right.
Yeah.
And Willie Peralta, Scott, was pretty good his last time out. He went just 2 2/3, but gave up nothing. Two walks, no hits, no runs, no strikeouts. That's slightly troubling.
I'll go with Detroit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we're getting a good price there. Again, it's a game Detroit probably should lose, but the odds shouldn't be that. I think
if you're afraid, plus 1.5. Cleveland's the home team. Might not bad in the ninth. Decent shot there.
Yeah, I don't hate that. What else you see you like?
Well, other than that, though, looking at the rest of the card,
Waka Waka.
I don't want to touch Waka Waka. I know that I was right about the Nationals yesterday. I kind of went on a limb and I actually thought the Nationals would beat Rich Hill yesterday, and they did. But I'm looking at Oakland against Allard. I know Oakland did not really play too well yesterday, but Bassett's been really good. I think Oakland on the run line. I'm not a big Allard guy. Bassett's impressed me. I just think Oakland's going to roll. You?
Okay. I don't hate it, but Allard's been good on the road. 2.0 ERA. He's got it. He's kind of his peripherals. He's kind of outpitched his peripherals, Scott. He's got good peripheral numbers. I think I would take a surprising spin on the under in this one.
Okay.
I know it's down today, but these teams didn't score a ton yesterday, and I think that we could be in for another one of those.
Faced Oakland was last start, by the way, 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs.
Oh no, for who?
Allard.
For Allard, yeah.
So I kind of expect a similar script. I think Bassett will shut the door.
All right. Well, Scott, it is time once again to do what we always do at this time. It is to let everybody know what our favorite play is. If you had to make just one play today, you had to put all your chips in the middle, this is the one that we would recommend. It is time to gather around the radio, kids. It is once again time to get on the tractor, get out to the back 40, and bet the farm. All right, farmers, here we go. Get your straw hats out because we've got a play for you. We're going to take a look at the Baltimore-Houston game, and we are going to play the over 9.5. Now, everybody knows how well Houston's been playing, the kind of runs that they've been putting up. They are averaging 5.68 runs per game. You're thinking, hey, that sounds like a lot of runs. Yeah, you're right. That's number 1 in the league. They're averaging 5.53 runs per home game. That's 4th in the league. They're going up against Matt Harvey. It's Matt Harvey Day, Scott. Batman goes for Baltimore. 7.54 ERA on the season. He has been even worse in his last 5, 9.31, 1.98 whip. And he has given up 3 or more in 8 of his last 9 starts. And Baltimore, Scott, they've actually been hitting the ball a little bit. 6.8 runs per game over their last 5. Bet the farm, Baltimore, Houston, over 9.5. And that, yep, I was going to say that's going to do it for us here at Winners and Whiners Radio. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Please tell your friends. We do this each and every day, Monday through Friday. So let everybody know. For myself and for Scott Reichel, for the rest of the team over here at Winners and Whiners, have a great day. We'll see you next time on Winners and Whiners Radio.